Stop. I just got done watching the Oklahoma Thunder series and Spurs series, and everybody's calling Chet soft. I want y'all to stop that, because if you had to be real, a lot of y'all are soft too. A lot of y'all in the big moment, when the pressure is highest, when the lights are brightest, when the crowd is the loudest, y'all don't perform and be the person who you're supposed to be. You see, it's easy to look at the TV and talk about that person that's soft. It's harder to look in the mirror and tell that person that's looking back at you that they're not performing well. See, a lot of people won't keep it real with y'all like I am. As a licensed mental health counselor, I work with clients all day that is trying to break free from the mental barriers. And as a men masculinity coach, I look at men who don't understand what the problem is, but they know something isn't right. So today we're going to talk about being soft or not performing in the biggest moments. So I'm going to be 100 with y'all. We were told the wrong story about choking. When we think about somebody not showing up in the biggest moments, we're thinking about somebody who's in his own head. He wanted it too bad and it was too much pressure. But real talk, it's not weakness that's the problem. It's actually the biology that's the real issue. I know in therapy school, what we learned is that we got the fight, flight, or freeze response when your body is in danger. You know, the fight, hey, I gotta show up. The freeze is, oh my gosh. You know what I'm saying? And then of course the flight is, pew, you gotta go. A lot of us in that moment, whatever that moment may be, we make it bigger than it actually is. When I'm working with somebody who's struggling with anxiety, I tell them, like, bro, once you set through that anxiety enough times, you know the rhythm. The problem is you still see it bigger than it is, but you understand anxiety doesn't last all day. Or even when you're having a panic attack, it's not gonna last all day. In that moment, it feels really, really big and really, really urgent. When I'm working with men and masculinity, I talk to them about, hey, when their partner isn't showing up and you feel like you got to speak louder to get them to do what you want to do, what you want them to do. We talk about, when you're over-explaining yourself to people, why you're over-explaining yourself to people. It's because you're not secure in yourself. That is a moment that is too big. And I've been there before too. So when I work with men, I'm not here to put you down. I'm not here to make you feel bad. I'm just here to help you get wherever you're trying to go. This is you put in the destination. I'm just the GPS just mapping it out for you. So the pressure that the Thunder were on, I want you to think about how you're showing up in your life. When you're not getting what you want, when things aren't going your way, what are you doing? Are you saying, all right, man, you know what? I'm gonna work on me? Or are you pointing at the other people that's around you, blaming them, the external validation, instead of keeping it on the inside? Nobody wants to feel embarrassed, right? So we don't take that chance. We're not vulnerable with our girl, telling her, hey, babe, this is how you feel. This is what you want the relationship to look like. No, instead, you either shut down, don't say nothing because you've been going through this for a long time, or you're yelling and frustrated because you're not getting what you want. If you're doing either one of those polars, you're not doing the right thing, and you're not showing up in the big moments. The biggest moment for you is talking to your girl about how you feel. The biggest moment to you is actually talking through what you want your kids to do and how you want them to be. Not blaming them, but coming to them being real and being vulnerable with them about how you feel about them, but then how you want them to feel about you at the same time. Because a lot of us men, we want to feel loved. A lot of us men, we want to feel respected. But if we're coming down on our kids, if we're chastising, if we're always talking about how they can improve, how can we ever expect them to be comfortable with loving and talking to us? Nobody explained this to you growing up. Your body feels the moment before your mind does. When your heart starts pounding, you start feeling sweaty, you start feeling anxious, and you start feeling tense. That is your body's autonomic nervous system reacting before your mind consciously thinks about it. And so when the moment feels big, a lot of times you can see it in that field goal kicker's eyes. You're like, oh snap, he's about to miss. And that's because we can all see what his body's doing, and the moment is too big. What about when the moment is too big for you? What about when your girl, hasn't given you any, or she's giving you lazy adult time? How do you react? Do you, resent her and get mad at her? Do you beg for it? Do you accept the lazy cat? Because if you're doing either one of those things, you're not being a real, the moment is too big for you. When you're the man who's calm with himself, like, man, you know what? If somebody doesn't want to have adult time with me, I'm not gonna beg them for it. I might be able just to pleasure myself. Or I'm gonna have a real conversation with her in the morning about my needs or what can I do for her to kind of help her with what's going on. These are things that we weren't taught. We weren't taught how to deal with disappointment. We were taught like with disappointment, we just gotta try harder. We just gotta train harder. But we're training for the wrong thing. Instead of training to get somebody to do what you want them to do, you gotta train your mind to be okay with disappointment. You got to train your mind and say, okay, cool. If somebody else doesn't want to get that to me, how can I provide that for myself? If somebody else doesn't want to do something for me, how can I talk through this discomfort to where we can actually get what we both want at the end of it? It doesn't have to be transactional, but in a relationship, there has to be a safety for both people to be vulnerable. And also we have to understand that sometimes we will be told no. I teach my clients to learn how to relax through situations. Do not make the moment bigger than it has to be. I'm always amazed by women that they can know information and be mad and make it through the weekend to address it with their partner. A lot of men, we trying to address it right there. We gonna cancel the family vacation. We gonna argue in the car because we don't know how to regulate our emotions, right? But a sovereign man understands, okay, listen, I'm not gonna mess up this whole family vacation. When we get back, I'm gonna have a conversation with her. Or you know what, when we get to our destination, I'm gonna have a slight conversation and tell her what's going on and tell her that we're gonna address this at a later time. A lot of us don't have the discipline to do that. So if you made it this far, you've heard about what you're doing wrong or what it feels like. Now we're gonna talk about what to do. The first thing that you're gonna have to learn how to do is remain calm. When the moment feels big is when you feel tense or when your heart starts beating fast. So you're gonna understand what's going on in your body. And you're gonna tell yourself like, hey, however how I'm feeling right now, I don't need to react to it. I'm gonna wait for this feeling to pass before I do anything else. You're gonna remain calm. If you think about when somebody's in that big basketball game, man, what if I do this? What if I do that? It's game 7, the stakes are so big. Think about if you're able to just regulate down and be like, all right, you know what? I've been in this moment. This is a normal game. There's nothing more special about this game than game 1. There's nothing different about this game than in the opening regular season game. There's nothing different. It's just the pressure that we put on ourselves in that moment. You've been here before. When your girl is talking to you disrespectful, yelling at her in a disrespectful manner is not going to get you respect. Looking at her and telling her like, hey, you know you can't talk to me like that. That's how you get respect. Hey, if you talk to me like that again, I'm gonna go ahead and bounce because you know that's not how we get down. That's how you win in those situations. When you feeling like you have to defend yourself and you gotta yell back, you are already losing. So one of the things that I work with my clients on, staying calm. You've been here before, relax. So the challenge for you, I need y'all to understand, it starts before that moment. So it's getting those mental reps in. So phase 2 is you're going to start practicing for the big moments. Hey, if my girl doesn't want to give me adult time, how am I going to handle that? Well, you know what? I'm just going to go play my video game. You know what? I'm just going to go watch TV. And in the morning, we're going to have a conversation. If it keeps on happening, all right, cool. How am I going to handle that situation? Am I going to yell at her? Or am I just going to be able to talk through it? Am I going to create boundaries to what I want our relationship to look like? Am I going to have to look inside of me and step up my game to kind of make life easier for her? You're going to examine all parts of you and be ready for those moments. If you're having issues with your kids, you know, as men, we are taught that we need to teach them right from wrong, protect and provide. But we also need to be emotionally available to them. And if you didn't learn how to be emotionally available with your family, that's something that you're gonna have to do in your own time. So you're gonna start reading the books. You're gonna book a one-on-one session with me. You're gonna start going to therapy. You're gonna start doing those things to be prepared for those moments because your kids will need you. Your girl will need you. If your girl's saying, oh, you never listen to me, you know, you're not present with me, and you don't know what that means, that means you're gonna have to open up a book or you're gonna have to book a session with me and you're gonna have to learn what the heck she's talking about. Because if your girl is seeing that, she's not saying that to be hurtful because she wants you to be present. She wants you to win. She is actively invested in your success. So seeing you not be the full version of yourself does not benefit her. And if she's telling you that, get out of your feelings and understand that it's likely something that you need to improve on if you want to be a sovereign man, if you want to be prepared for the big moments. But a lot of y'all hear those critiques and you get defensive. And if you feeling like you have to defend yourself, you're already behind the eight. Here's the thing. When it comes to the big moments, it's so easy to look at other people and see how they're not prepared for it. But it's harder to look at the man in the mirror and see how he's not showing up in big moments. It's easy to see that person that's going to miss that field goal and see that the moment's too big. It's harder to think about yourself when you're having a conversation with your girl and you lose your temper. These are all things that are real. So you need to turn off the TV screen and start looking in the mirror more and being the best man that you can be, and learn how to regulate your emotions, how to stay calm under pressure. Because what it looks like for you when the moment's too big for you is you getting mad, you getting angry, and you projecting that out to other people. They see that in you. You don't. When you learn to prepare for the big moments, prepare for what somebody might say, and understand, like, yo, you don't have to argue with nobody to prove your point. You can talk through things. You don't have to defend yourself, but you can talk through things about who you are and what you want. You have to prepare for that. Just showing up is not going to get you there. You're going to have to go to therapy. You're going to have to start journaling. You're going to have to book a one-on-one session with a masculinity coach to kind of help you hold it down the way you were destined to be. My name is Marcus Williams. I hope you enjoyed this video. Peace.